Welcome to Think About It with your host, Jaden Miller.
Good evening, and thank you for joining me on Think About It with Jaden Miller. I'm your host, Jaden Miller. I'm glad to have you all join me again for another edition of Think About It with Jaden Miller. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys listening in and watching me on YouTube. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. It's called Think About It with Jaden Miller. Also, if you could continue to listen and share and follow, and please comment on your favorite podcast platform. I drop new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday. And again, I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to talk about something a little different today. I'm going to talk about math. Okay. Now, that might be kind of a different topic, a different subject for a podcast, but I'm going to talk about math a little bit because math has been one of those subjects that I have tried to avoid the majority of my life. Never really cared for math for whatever reason. I always thought math was extremely difficult. Always thought that as long as I could add and subtract, divide and multiply, that I would be okay. I might be able to use fractions here and there, and maybe use percentages a little bit here and there, and decimal points as well, as long as I put them in the right places. But I always thought math was that real difficult subject. I've always been more of a sociology or government or economics kind of person. And I know you need economics and math, but it's a little bit different. All right. But I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about why math is important in everyday life. So if you have children out there, or if you are a college student, or if you're like me, just an everyday working person, math is important in everyday life. Let me talk about students. For many students, including myself, math was and is a difficult subject to thoroughly comprehend. In mathematics, there is one correct answer for any given equation, and when students are unable to reach the conclusion, it can be a discouraging feeling. And I know that's happened to me many times when I took a geometry class or when I took an algebra class. Math is more important to our everyday lives than just being able to solve X. It helps us with real world problem solving, helps our brains process information faster, and it helps us develop critical thinking skills. And, as a teacher and now as an administrator in a school system, developing critical thinking skills is extremely important. Math can help us. And I'll start with critical thinking. Critical thinking is a skill that helps us make informed and educated decisions without being influenced by outside bias or other distractions. All right. So when we do math, we have to understand that math is not political. Okay. Math is not a Democrat. Math is not Republican. Math is not independent. Okay. Taking into consideration all components of a problem, dispelling any notion that would be invaluable to reaching a conclusion, and making reasonable assessments about how to reach your final outcome will help you make smart life choices. That's why math is really important. And so again, I was one of those individuals that avoided math for quite some time. All right. And in my professional life, I find that I still need to use math. Although you may never need to find out the square root of 81 in your future, understanding how to solve a problem by using all the information that is provided to form a clear and concise conclusion is beneficial to you when making other life decisions. Math is important because in life, we need critical thinking skills when we decide that we're going to buy a house, and that'll kind of segue into my next thing about math. It helps with financial decisions. But when you want to buy a house, okay, when you want to buy a car, or if you're deciding between one product or another product and you're looking at the prices, all right, then you're talking about math. All right. So let's talk about financial decisions. Math helps with financial decisions. All right. Math will help you make sound monetary decisions. I want you to think about this for a little bit. Thinking about it with me, Jaden Miller. Is math important to you? All right. Why is it important? Have you or are you like me and you've avoided math for so many years because it's just too difficult? That problem solving just has got you. Well, I'm here to tell you today that math is extremely important. There will come a point when you have to make a small financial choices, whether it be determining what a sales tax is or how much to tip a waiter, and large financial decisions. And this goes back to what I was saying about a house, applying for a mortgage, budgeting household expenses. All right. Those are the larger decisions that you will make, those larger financial decisions that math will help you. So having a fundamental understanding of how money works, how to manage your money, and calculating risk versus reward will all be beneficial for your future. Well, here's something else. Math will become a part of your future profession. Do you think so? If you're just getting into your career or if you're still a student, will math be a part of your future profession? Well, you may not even consider a career involving anything to do with numbers, but math will follow you as you make a name for yourself in the future. For example, individuals that work in retail stores may be responsible for cash, which utilizes fundamental arithmetic. Those that choose a future in construction may require an understanding of trigonometric functions. And those that pursue a career in healthcare will have to know how to calculate dosages of medication and measure body mass indexes, etc. All right. See, so even if you go into these careers, construction, or you work in a retail store, or you work in the medical field, you have got to know even the basics of math. All right. So when we talk about it'll become part of your future profession, you will have to know the basic understanding of time management to calculate what time you need to leave your house, for example, to make it to work on time, as well as how long certain tasks take so that you can complete all your duties on time. It takes me 6 minutes to get to work. All right. So I need to have certain calculations in order to determine that. All right. And then math strengthens your brain. All right. It really truly does, because it really gets you to thinking. It really gets you into problem solving. All right. And then what it'll do is it will help you step out of your comfort zone. All right. So this is what I mean about it strengthens your brain. It may make you uncomfortable at first. For example, I remember as a kid having to go to the board and solve problems and getting them wrong. Okay. All right. So it will make you uncomfortable at first. But once you comprehend a concept, it can help improve your self-confidence and supply you with the courage that you need to accept the mistakes you've made. Those that pursue math are generally proficient at multitasking and making detail-oriented observations. All right. Math will also help you do well in other ventures that you may be interested in, such as playing a musical instrument, video games, knitting, sewing, and virtually any sport. And so that brings me into this. Let's talk a little bit about how math can help you in sports. You're talking to me, Jaden Miller, on my podcast, Think About It with Jaden Miller. I'm on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to comment if you like. Also, you can find me on your favorite podcast platform. I thank those of you that have been telling others about my podcast, that have been sharing it, and that are following me. All right. Well, let's talk about how math is used in sports. All right. So for me, as a sports fan, this is one of the best avenues that I can use in order to help me keep abreast of my math, because math is something that you need to continuously practice. So when I'm at work, I'll oftentimes, throw out numbers for kids to calculate. So I may give someone, tell me what 15 times 15 is and see how well they can do it in their head. Or I may give someone some addition or someone some division or someone some subtraction just to get them thinking, okay? Because it's really, really important. Those critical thinking skills are really important. All right, so let's talk about basketball, all right? Mathematics plays a huge role in determining the various statistics that define a player's performance on the basketball court. So, for me, the GOAT is Michael Jordan, all right? Always been a Michael Jordan fan, all right? And always take a real good look at his numbers, all right? Which are very, very important, all right? So when calculating a player's points per game, average, you have to take the total number of points scored by the player in all games and divide this number by the total games the player has participated in. So statistical categories such as rebounds, assists, block shots, steals, and minutes played, these are all calculated this way. All right. So if you want to know these things, it's really, really important that you keep abreast on math. All right. So when we talk about basketball, we talk about ratios. All right. So one of the most important numbers that coaches look at is a player's turnover to assist ratio. All right. This is especially important for guards that are charged with the responsibility of running an offense. The ratio is determined by taking the number of assists a player averages and comparing this total to the player's number of turnovers per game. For instance, a player that averages 9 assists per contest and 3 turnovers has an assist to turnover ratio of 3-1, which is considered excellent. All right. So here we are in basketball. For some of you all out there listening to my podcast, this is your favorite sport, but this is how you use math in order to help you in your everyday life, but help you to understand the sport that you're watching. All right. Well, let's talk about percentages. All right. When we talk about basketball, field goal shooting percentages are calculated by taking the number of shots a player makes and dividing that total by the number of shots attempted. Any shooting percentage near 50% is considered very good. Remember, we're talking about human beings here. Nobody's perfect. All right. Accordingly, a player that hits 11 shots on 20 attempts has a shooting percentage of 55% or .550. Free throw shooting percentages and 3-point field goal percentages are also computed in this manner. All right. So again, in our favorite sports, we have mathematics, we have ratios, we have percentages. All of these things are important, all right, to the game, and which goes to show you how math is in our everyday life and how math is really important. All right. Well, basketball is a great sport. My favorite sport just so happens to be baseball. All right. So in baseball, we talk about earned run averages. We talk about the batters hitting percentages. All of these are based upon math. All right. So let's take a look at a batter's hitting percentage. Okay. All right. The percentage, and let's just use something for examples. Let's say there's a batter whose percentage is .344. All right. Based on the number of hits, let's say there's 55, and then divided by the number of times at bat, which would be 160. So this means in the baseball world that a batting average, okay, of 344 is very good, because what it means is that a batter will typically get a hit 1 out of 3 times at bat. Now, a batter of this kind with this kind of batting average is usually really good at the top of the lineup. Okay, so that might be, for example, your leadoff hitter. All right, we keep statistics on the number of home runs a person hits, divided by the number of times at bat. Okay, that gives us certain percentages. All right. What about the ERA of a pitcher? So we talked about a batter. Let's talk about a pitcher. Okay. So let's say we have a pitcher with an earned run average of 5.13. All right. So the number is determined by taking the number of earned runs, which would be 4, dividing it by the number of innings pitched. So let's say that this pitcher pitched 7 innings, okay, and then multiplying that number by 9. There are 9 innings, okay, in baseball. So what does the 5.13 mean for pitcher? It means he is not really that great of a pitcher. All right, it means that he gives up too many hits that lead to runs. All right, the pitcher that has a ERA of 5.13 is prone to giving up lots of runs and not winning many games. All right, so that's why we generally tend to like pitchers that have earned run averages below the 3. Okay, so that's really important. So again, baseball is my favorite sport, and that's why I find it important to know, the mechanics of what's going on in the game. But the only way that I can really know that is by having some general knowledge of math. So we've talked about math and its usage in basketball. We've talked about math and its usage in football. Think about it. Is math important? Okay. Do you feel that math is really, really important to you in your everyday life? All right. So earlier I talked about how math leans to critical thinking skills, how it helps with financial decisions, how math can become part of your future profession, and then how it really truly helps strengthen your brain because it gets you to really thinking and helps you to problem solve. It perhaps even helps you to memorize things even better. All right. So we've talked about basketball. We talked about baseball. Let's talk about football because we're now in football season, of course. All right. So let's think. The next time you're watching a football game and you see your favorite quarterback throw a pass, completion. All right. You need to think about the math used in connection with the completed pass. All right. Math is used in professional football in every practice, whether it's training camp, preseason, a regular season game. You cannot play a game without math. It is really that important. All right. So let's take a look at the completed pass and the math involved. All right. The quarterback is tracked by the percentage of completions attempted and made, along with completion yards, the distance he threw the ball, and which side of the field he threw the ball, in addition to the completion percentage based on taking the snap from under center or shotgun. All right, all these numbers are used to develop a mathematical model of the quarterback for statistical comparison with other quarterbacks. I mean, it's just that amount of numbers, that amount of math helps determine whether or not a team will win. It helps to determine whether or not that quarterback is doing well this day or this Sunday or not doing so well. So all of these things are very, very, very important. All right. Let's talk about the receiver. The receiver who caught the pass is judged on the number of passes thrown to him and the number of catches. He is also judged on the number of yards he gains after the catch and areas that he catches the passes. Just like the quarterback, these numbers are all used to develop a mathematical model of the receiver for statistical comparisons with other receivers. All right. So if you consider yourself not a math person like me for many, many years, all right, that math is just not that important to you, that math is not something that you're going to be using in your everyday life, I'm just here to tell you you're wrong. All right. So what can we do? We can start embracing math. All right. So what I like to do is I like to talk about a 5-step approach to dealing with problems. All right. Especially when it comes to math. All right. So this 5-step process is very, very simple. When it comes to math, we know that we have a problem. So we need to identify the problem. All right. The problem is that we feel as though math is not our subject. It seems difficult. That's the problem. All right. So then what we need to do is we need to analyze the problem. So we've identified it. Let's analyze it. Maybe we should look at it from several different points. All right. Do we hate math because our parents hated math? Do we hate math because we think it's too hard? Do we hate math because we just don't have the time and energy to put into it? So we need to analyze these things. Okay. Why? Why is it this way? Okay. Why did it come to this? Why is it that this is that one subject that causes people to just turn away? All right. So we need to analyze that. All right. Now, once we've analyzed why this problem exists, all right, then what we need to do is we need to come up with some strategies, all right, to help us overcome the problem. The problem is we don't like math. So we need to come up with some strategies. What are some strategies? All right. So number one, all right, what we can do is we can get with someone that is very good in math. All right. That person can help show us where we're going wrong, what we're doing wrong. But then also that person can help us to build more confidence. All right. It's okay to get it wrong. All right. The key is once we know what we've got wrong, to take the steps to make it right. All right. So if we're trying to solve an equation and we need to make sure that we add on one side and add on another side, or we need to make sure we follow the PEMDAS model. Okay. And that, we need to multiply here and divide there. All right. Well, these are some strategies that tutor is going to help us with, or that person that is really, really good in math can help us with. All right. Other strategies might be just to sit down and take our time. All right. If you're at home and you're studying, then you've got time to go on the internet and help you to find information on your math subject, what strategies or tactics you use to become better. Also, it just involves time management. It means taking some time to really get to know it. It's just like playing a sport or playing a musical instrument. All right. It takes time. It's not something that you can learn overnight. All right. So those are just some things. The other one is to get it out of your mind that you hate math. All right. Sometimes it just takes us turning our negative energy in a different direction and seeing things in a positive light. All right. So if I've always thought that I hate math, well, then that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm always going to feel that way. But if I can start having a positive mind and looking at math differently, then perhaps I'll become better at it. All right. So now we've talked about these 5 steps to how to deal with math, our math problem. So we identify the problem. Okay. We analyze the problem. We come up with some strategies, all right, to help us to deal with the problem. And then the 4th step is to do it. All right. So we've identified some strategies. I need to get with a tutor or someone that's really good in math. All right. I need to change the way that I look at math. I need to put more time and effort into it. So now that we've identified these strategies, we need to simply do them. Okay. All of us, it's so easy to talk about, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. You know what? But don't be a talker, be a doer. All right. So if math is a problem for you, then it's time to start doing it. All right. And then the last step is this. You're going to make some mistakes. All right. But we're not going to focus on the mistakes. We're going to we're going to look at our success. All right. We're going to evaluate and acknowledge our success. All right. So yeah, we know along the lines there's going to be a few mistakes. That happens in math. All right. But the key is that when we start getting these equations and when we start becoming more and more proficient, all right, whether it be multiplication, whether it be subtraction or addition or division, whether it be dealing with fractions or percentages or ratios, okay, all of these different things. Once we start to become more proficient in it, we need to acknowledge that we are now starting to do much better in a subject that we deem to be difficult. All right. So anyway, I want you all to think about it. Think about whether or not your mindset can be changed when it comes to that difficult subject of math. All right. Listen, I appreciate you guys listening to my podcast today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. on YouTube. All right. And of course, follow me. Please continue to follow me, like, share, tell other people about my podcast on your favorite podcast platform. This is Jaden Miller. I drop new episodes every Wednesday and Sunday. Continue to listen to me. I appreciate you guys. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.